Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be setting up my bullet journal for October with a little bit of a twist. So get yourself a drink, get cozy, and let's just get right into this video. So for this video, I thought that I would do something a little bit different, maybe to keep you guys engaged and also just for the sake of it. So unlike a regular video, for today's voiceover, I'm actually going to be talking about myself. I'm going to be going over a couple facts about myself, my personality, my interests, and hopefully by the end of this video, you will get to know me a little bit better. But before we get into that, I'd also like to introduce you to today's theme because this is not only one of my favorite themes that I've ever done, but also one of my favorite videos that I've ever made because I did kind of try to make it more aesthetically pleasing, and also I tried a different editing, which I think is pretty visible, so make sure to let me know what you think. For this October, I decided to not do a regular Halloween theme. That's usually what I do if you look at my past videos. But for some reason this year, I was really not feeling it. So I decided to go for a cozier version instead. So this theme is all about apple pies. I'm also going to be including a lot of apples and a lot of cinnamon. And as a extra detail, I guess you could say, I also decided to add little brown circles, or I guess you would call them beige, not necessarily brown, but I feel like those really add a lot of personality to the page, and I think you're gonna understand what I mean in just a little while. So yeah, that was all about this theme. I really hope you enjoy watching the time lapse of me drawing it and coloring it. I might intervene and describe what I'm doing every now and again, but I think now it's time to talk about myself and to get to know each other better. Alright, so I think I'm going to start with the very basics. First of all, my name is Bianca. My nickname is B. I'm pretty sure you can already tell that because that is my social media handle everywhere, B's Pujos. I have just turned 20 years old, or by the time this video comes out, I might not even be 20 yet. But basically, my birthday is at the very end of September. I'm a Libra. It is September the 27th. Also, contrary to popular belief, I am not American. I've had a lot of friends reach out to me, and unfortunately they would only deliver to the US, and that was heartbreaking. So yeah, I'm not American. I know that my accent may not give it away, but I am actually Eastern European. I am planning to leave this place for good very soon. Hopefully I can make it happen. A question I also get a lot is what I am studying or what I'm doing. Well, I am a full-time student and I'm currently studying communications and PR. It's basically just a lot of marketing, digital media, advertising, and stuff like that. I think it is the right career path for me. I can't say that I'm like particularly passionate about it, but I unfortunately am the type of person that would give up their passion if it meant, getting a decent job. So while I'm doing this, while I'm studying, I can take care of my hobbies and hopefully find a better job in the meantime. I think another important thing about me is that I am in a very happy long-term relationship. Me and my boyfriend have been together for 5 years, and honestly, I'm gonna take every chance I get to talk about him because everything is going really, really great. And I'm particularly introducing him to you because he plays quite a big role in the social media presence of Beast Pujos. I say that because not only did he actively encouraged me to actually do this when I was just starting up, but the profile picture that you see on all my socials, including here on YouTube, is actually a gift from him. He got me this illustration, this custom illustration, as a birthday gift at some point, and it is the cutest thing ever. It got so many details about myself, such as the sweater that I'm wearing right now, or my cat at the window, or the fact that I'm journaling. So it's really, really cute, and it's definitely a very unique profile picture to have. So I think that would sum up the basic aspects of my personality. I'm gonna take a quick break right now and explain what I'm doing. I am adding the circles that I was talking about. They don't really make any sense, they don't mean anything, but I feel like whenever I add this to a theme, it makes it look so much cuter. I really love this color and I think it really matches the color palette. I was also not a very big fan of the way the plate looks, so I'm actually coloring in the outline with this very dark shade of brown, trying to make it look better, and I think it does look decent. And now, when it comes to the cover page, I went for something simple and cute, and my quote this month is keeping my eyes on the pies. I really love using puns for my quote pages. I'm adding just a couple of doodles to stay on theme. I'm adding some cinnamon sticks, apples, little leaves here and there, and yeah, I think this actually turned out so cute. I will be adding the circles as well to keep it coherent. For some reason, I really love the handwriting that I did here. I don't know, I feel like for the past couple months my handwriting has been so bad in my journal, but this page in particular looks quite nice, and now I am just coloring everything in. You can see me adding the shading and everything, and just take a look at how powerful and how strong this shade of red is. I think this marker has been my all-time favorite because I've never seen anything more pigmented than this. I am adding the last couple of details, and I'm also showing you a close-up because this looks quite gorgeous to me. And then I think it's time to move on to the calendar spread. As always, on these two pages I will be having a calendar as well as my highlights of the day kind of section. So now I think it's time that we go back to my introduction, and in this section I would like to talk about my hobbies, my interests, what I like to do. So to start off, I think it's obvious that journaling is my top priority hobby. Ever since I started actually being able to write in a notebook, my parents introduced me to the concept of journaling, and ever since then I was never able to give it up. Initially, obviously, I started with the diary, then I found out about bullet journaling. When I was growing up, bullet journaling was just starting to pick up, and you had all these like really popular creators like Amanda doing stuff on YouTube, and it was so much fun to watch those videos. So I was like, you know what, let me do this. Also, I had a best friend at the time who was also very interested in this, and we would do it together. Then I also discovered just like reflection journaling, travel journaling, and so, you know, there's multiple variations of it, but I love them all, and I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to give up on this hobby. I see myself doing this my entire life. Apart from journaling, I am also a very big fan of reading, of books, of literature. But unfortunately, I do have to say that I don't really find myself reading all that much, at least not as much as I would like to, because more often than not, I don't find the time, and when I finally have the time, I don't really have the energy, or I would rather invest it in something else. I would say that I am a very big fan of classical literature, although my favorite author is not part of that category, at least not yet. My favorite author at the moment is Haruki Murakami. I have been loving all his books. I'm currently like on book 3. I've only read 3 of them. One of them just came out, like a new one, and I would love to read that one, but I feel like I still have a long way to go until I get there. His stories are incredibly enchanting and incredibly weird at times, but I think that's what I like about it so much. It's definitely very unique, and I recommend it to you. If you're into that kind of stuff, you can look into it. Apart from books, I also really like cinema. I would consider myself quite educated when it comes to movies. I have a couple favorites, but honestly, I've seen so many that it's incredibly hard to make a top. But the one thing about me that you should know is that I am the ultimate horror fan. That's all I watch, or at least, you know, when I can watch that, I watch it. When not, I guess I'll just settle on a thriller or drama or something like that. The genres that I unfortunately do not like, or I mean, I've watched movies that come from these genres and I like them, but I don't necessarily go out seeking them. And I'm talking about comedy and romance. They have to be really good for me to actually like them, and usually, unfortunately, it's not the case. And I'm also gonna give you some names. I think my favorite horror movie at the moment is a quite recent one, and that is When Evil Lurks. It's a Spanish movie and it is quite nice. I would definitely recommend seeing it if you haven't. It's really scary. It has such an eerie atmosphere going on, and it's a little bit more unique than the usual ones that you see. Some other movies that I really enjoyed were, for example, Better Days. And I know I just said I don't like romance movies, but this one was a romance movie, kind of. It was kind of heartbreaking. I would call it more of a drama. It's a Chinese film. It's incredibly nice. I cried. I think it's the only movie that ever made me cry. I also really enjoyed The Skin I Live In. I think that one's the Spanish one again. Very nice plot twist, very interesting plot altogether, and also a classic. I am a very big fan of Whiplash because I myself am a very big perfectionist and I really related to the character, unfortunately. Now, as a side note, I'm also going to tell you about some of my favorite series. I'm a very big fan of American Horror Story, of course. I really loved Breaking Bad. I really loved The Dropout, which is kind of like a biography for Elizabeth Holmes. And I also really loved The Walking Dead. It was such a long show. Oh my goodness. And now a little break because this is the completed calendar. I love the way it turned out. I think it's so cute. And we're moving on to my habit tracker. I'm keeping the usual layout. So there's one page with a lot of illustrations going on, and then the other one, just a simple trackers page. I'm just gonna have the boxes on my left side, and then on my right side you'll see what I'm doing. Basically just an apple pie, a couple apples, and some more details along the way. And now to go back to the discussion about hobbies and interests, I think another important point is the music that I listen to. Everyone loves music, so let me tell you about my taste in music now. So one thing about me is that I am the kind of person that can listen to anything and everything as long as it sounds decent. And up until recently, I was a very big rock fan. I would listen to pretty much every genre of rock, specifically metal and a lot of punk. I still sometimes listen to those, but unfortunately my life has gotten a lot more stressful and a lot busier, so the last thing I want to hear at 6 a.m. in the morning is some dude screaming in my ear. So I kind of calmed down a little bit, and nowadays I like the softer rock, like the Beatles, let's say. And I'm also a very big fan of Britpop, British pop basically, but the old school one. So bands like Oasis, I am a huge fan of Oasis. Oh my goodness, I was so hyped when I found out that there was a reunion. I really wish I was there. But I can also listen to classical music, I can listen to indie, I can listen to country as well. They have some really good love songs. Now, on top of everything that I mentioned, I also have what I consider to be part-time hobbies. Basically, what I mean is that I don't do these hobbies too often, or I'm not like too interested in them, but I still sometimes find moments where I really feel the need to do it. One of these hobbies is, for example, getting my nails done. I know that this is kind of like a part of self-care or self-maintenance. It is true. I do this every now and again when I need to do it. I don't think I've seen my nails without nail polish on them ever since I was like 12. So I'm definitely a very big fan of this, but I don't do it too often. I also do my nails with gel polish, so it's not normal nail polish, because if you have noticed, they are quite long and they do break very easily if you don't have a solid foundation keeping them together. Recently I've been messing around with some designs, and I think it's really cute. Whenever I have a lot of times on my hands, I really enjoy doing it. When I don't have a lot of time on my hands, it's not that enjoyable, but you know, it has to be done. Content creation is also what I consider to be a part-time hobby, because sure, I journal every day and it might seem like I post every week and every month, but in fact I actually only post once, and that is because I schedule all my posts. At the very beginning of the month, I take all my photos, I record my videos, I edit everything, and then I just go ahead and schedule the whole thing, so I don't have to go back and do it every single time. This is actually a lifesaver. It's saving so much time, so much effort. Sometimes you just forget about the posts. For example, when I was on vacation, I had no mood to be sitting around and like making posts on Instagram, unfortunately. So of course I was like, actually, let me just schedule these posts for the entire duration of my vacation, and that's what I did, and it was awesome. And that way you can stay active and you can also enjoy your free time. You should definitely learn how to schedule your posts. It's incredibly easy, and I'm sure there's many tutorials on YouTube that you can watch. But also, throughout the years, I've had so many hobbies that I can't even remember. At some point, I was very into playing the guitar, and I did that for, I don't know, about like 6-7 years. I gave up eventually because I had no time, and I, to be honest, also wanted to grow my nails and to have like these really long fancy nails, and you cannot necessarily do that if you want to play the guitar. Also, I did like clay figurines, I guess. That was also really fun. I have some really cute things from that period of time. And yeah, I did like painting, I did diamond painting, I did normal drawing like outside of this bullet journal. I still have a lot of love for these hobbies, and I still do it sometimes, but for the most part I just stick to the main ones. And I also want to tell you about some hobbies that I would like to pick up. I am very interested in crochet. I do, however, think that it's a lot harder than it seems. I follow a lot of people on Instagram that do this, and I love the little creations that they make, but I don't think I could do that. And I would also like to maybe create another YouTube channel, or maybe invest some more time into this one, but that would have to happen after I graduate college. The kind of YouTube channel that I would like to have would maybe be a commentary one, because I am quite like active when it comes to pop culture, when it comes to like whatever happens around the world, and that's mostly the kind of content that I consume here on YouTube. But I think an ASMR channel would also do really good. My boyfriend keeps telling me that I am very good at ASMR. I have done some ASMR videos, but only for him, and I just send them. And so I would love that as well. I feel like an ASMR channel would be so easy to grow. Whenever I watch ASMR, every single content creator that does this has so many subscribers and so many views. It's crazy. So yeah, I would definitely love that. And we are once again taking a little break because I'm adding the final details to my habit tracker, which are, of course, these beige circles that I kept talking about. And here is a close-up to the entire thing. I'm so happy with the way this turned out. I was kind of nervous, but I really love it. And now it's finally time for my playlist and review spread. I'm keeping my layout simple for these two spreads in particular because they are pretty straightforward. So at the bottom of my playlist spread, I'm just gonna draw an apple pie, of course. And around the page, I'm also adding some doodles to keep the entire look going. And you'll see that my review spread is even simpler than this. And now I'd like to talk a little bit about my personality as a whole. So basically, I'm gonna start off by saying that I'm a very reserved person. I am incredibly introverted. I'd like to say that I'm the most introverted person I've ever met in my entire life. But the thing about me is that I'm not shy at all. So it's incredibly easy for me to switch from introverted to extroverted when I really need it. Especially, as I said, I'm studying communication, which means I need to be actively speaking to people and to be actively persuading people to do or buy something. So I do need to talk quite a lot, which is not fun, but when I need to do it, I'm pretty good at doing it. But I would always rather just stay quiet and mind my business. There's a lot of things that make me happy, and one of those things is cats. I have a cat myself, and the one thing you need to know about her is that she is incredibly fat. She's so squishy, she is so warm and so fluffy. She's a white cat. I do share quite a lot of photos of her over on Instagram because she's very pretty. She's not like a fancy breed. We just rescued her one day, and she's been with us, I think, for, I don't know, almost 10 years now. So yeah, we're growing old together. Another thing that makes me happy is the rain. I'm a huge fan of rainy, gloomy days, especially when I get to just stay inside and do something cozy, or I don't know, even work on something like a task. It's still a lot better for me if outside I can see clouds and rain and everything. So yeah, it just gets me in that really comfy mood. I also love going on walks. Nature makes me feel so happy, and I really love observing plants. I'm a very big fan of flowers. I have a whole highlight dedicated to flowers over on my Instagram. More often than not, there's a bouquet of flowers in the house, and I really, really love them. Fall flowers are especially beautiful, I think. Last year or 2 years ago for my birthday, I got this huge bouquet of autumn flowers, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The fun fact about that bouquet is actually that there was a caterpillar growing inside, and I found out so late, but I did end up putting it outside, and I hope it lived a very happy and a very long life. This might sound weird, but of course, another thing that makes me happy is food. I fixate on certain foods, such as, let's say, a specific type of pizza or like fries from a very specific place, and it is quite funny, but I just love eating sometimes. I do take care of what I eat most days, but some days I just feel like, you know what, I'm not gonna give a flip today, and so I just eat whatever comes to mind. But enough of the things that make me happy. How about we talk about some of my pet peeves or things that annoy me, because I have a very, very long list. Okay, so I would say that my number one pet peeve would be loud people. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting everyone to be as quiet and composed as I am, but honestly, sometimes I look around me and I wonder, like, who the heck raised these people, and who exactly do they think they are to be yelling and making like a scene out of everything? Before I continue talking about my pet peeves, here's a quick close-up of these two spreads that I just finished. I think they're cute, they're simple, and we're moving on to my first weekly spread, which is actually the last thing I want to show you in today's video. So now back to it. A few notable mentions in the category of loud people would be number one, loud neighbors that have no concept of like the fact that there's people around them. It's just annoying. I get the fact that some people may be moving, or maybe they have kids, or maybe they have pets, but Jesus Christ, you cannot be that loud all day long. Like, I just cannot comprehend that. And number two would be people who are talking on their phone in public transport, and they cannot seem to understand that there's people all around them and that we can hear the conversation that they're having. Another pet peeve that I have is people moving ridiculously slow. Of course, we're not talking about old people, we're not talking about children, we're not talking about people who may not be able to move faster. I'm just talking about people who are genuinely just slow because they want to or because they choose to. That pisses me off so bad. I'll be waiting in line and there's people who have not even decided what they want to get, or they're like trying to look for their things as if they didn't have enough time to do that before they got to the front of the line. You know, it's just crazy. I feel like some people are out and about and they ruin everybody's day. Another pet peeve that I have, and I really hope this does not make me sound mean, it's a little weird, but I have a thing for people who cannot seem to find their own way and their own personality, and they're obsessed with following every single micro trend that shows up. And obviously there's a trend that shows up every hour. So yeah, I just look around me and I see people that belong to the same category, that act the same, dress the same, and they don't even like that stuff, like genuinely, so they just follow whatever their friends are doing. I think this is not necessarily a pet peeve, but I'm just seeing like a lot of wasted potential and a lot of wasted time of you just trying to be someone you're not for the sake of fitting in. Honestly, like, fitting in has killed so much of my time in the past, and up until recently I was always trying to be like everyone else practically, but recently I was able to give that up, and honestly I don't think I've ever been happier than this. It's incredibly nice to just feel like you have a personality of your own and that you have very specific traits and very specific hobbies and interests that nobody else has, and I think that's beautiful. So if you think you fit into the category I just described, you should definitely take this as a sign to maybe step out of the box a little and find your own way. Another notable mention would be that I hate, and I mean with a passion, I hate people that seem to be having something against animals, like in general. You know, I sometimes walk down the street and I find people just hitting cats and hitting dogs. And don't get me wrong, for example, one of my phobias, and this is quite weird to say, one of my phobias is actually dogs. I'm not sure why I'm so scared of them, but I cannot be next to a dog. But at the same time, I would never go out of my way to like hurt a dog just because I'm scared of it. I would just like avoid it and move on, you know? And so there's people who just find a lot of pleasure in doing this, which I do not understand. Well, partly I don't understand because I do think this is a psychotic trait, if I'm being honest. You're not forced to love animals, you're not forced to care for them, but you know, hurting them is another story. Alright guys, I talked so much. I don't think I've ever talked this much in a YouTube video before, but I am adding the final touches to this spread, and then of course I'm gonna show you a quick little close-up of everything I did. This weekly spread is very cute, very spacious, and I love it. And that, guys, was my video for you today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it didn't bore you out. Please let me know in the comments if you relate to anything that I said, and also don't forget that I will have all my social handles in the description box. Thank you once again for watching my video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.